GameStop is finally dying. To some people, GameStop is an evil or even wretched institution, one in which is going to fail very, very soon. They sell games, but they also do a lot more stuff under the hood that is not very good for this industry. The reason that they are an evil corporation is because if you try to walk into a GameStop right now and buy a new video game to support your favorite developers and your favorite video game makers, they will try to push a used copy of that video game onto you to try to steer you away from that shiny new boxed copy. And you know what? The reason is because they will get 100% of the revenue from that transaction, and the video game maker, the game maker who actually put together that game, won't see another dime. Because if GameStop resells that game as a used game, publishers don't get any more money. Publishers only get money, and video game makers, they only get money when they sell new video games. They don't have any say in the used gaming market. If a new copy is sold, both parties get money and the traditional split is in effect. But of course, GameStop would rather not let that happen, instead selling a used copy and taking the lion's share of the revenue, in fact, every penny of the revenue. So for the longest time, ever since they started to decline as a company, their entire new corporate strategy was to push used game sales in their stores. And this has had a tremendous effect on the way video games have been developed and the way publishers have been designing games to try to recoup some of that investment. And when I say investment, of course I mean lost revenue. The entire ecosystem of the video game world has been changed because of this used gaming development at GameStop. Why do you think the video game industry has turned into upsell content, microtransactions, season passes, exclusive game content, paywall content? It's because video game makers out there, they need to sell more stuff now that they're losing money to the used gaming market. It has happened for so many years now, compounding in effect, and now we're just kind of washing upon the shore of this new development in the video game industry, where you gotta make more money somehow. By preventing new video game sales in a store where most people bought video games for a long time, that is what has steered the industry to where it is today, where game makers out there and publishers have to protect themselves versus this practice. You might think that this is no longer in effect because GameStop has been in decline and you can kind of just go buy your games out there online and you could download everything digitally just from the comfort of your own home. But of course, that is actually not true because the used gaming market is mostly physical game sales, and those happen at GameStop. So yes, they are still relevant today if you go into a GameStop because you can get black market used games basically for half the price. This is good for gamers because we can recoup some of our investment by selling that used game back to another gamer. But of course, the middleman, GameStop, is where the problem is. If they simply would, do the right thing and give the publisher a cut of that used game sale, this would all be fine and dandy. But the thing is, they are not doing that. They are taking all the money on these transactions, not giving anything to the publisher, the rightful owner of that property. That's the real problem in GameStop today, and the fact that they are not giving subsidiary income to publishers based off those secondary game sales. This is 100% a choice by GameStop not to do this, so they're just basically taking in all the income to survive in their failing business, and that is not a good thing for this industry. The winners of this equation are gamers and GameStop, but the losers are the people who actually make those games when in fact everybody could end up winning in this market, but GameStop chooses not to let that happen. So because of this, GameStop is a wretched institution. Yes, it's actually smart business, taking all the money for these subsidiary sales, but ethically, is this the right thing to do? No, it's not, of course, because game makers out there, the people who slave over these games and put their hearts and souls into these games, and the people that go out and promote these games, aka publishers, they lose out, when in fact it is their property to begin with. And the sheer fact alone that GameStop could prevent this from happening and make everybody happy in the process and make everybody winner, when in fact they are not doing that, is the reason they are a crappy company and you should not support them. For a long time, GameStop survived off this new direction of selling used video games at the cost of publishers' happiness and income. With the continued evolution of downloadable game content and the ability to buy games online and just have them shipped to your doorstep immediately and for free basically if you have Amazon Prime, they just could not survive in the markets even with this new integration of stealing publishers' money through the used gaming market. Sure, they are the middleman and they're providing the arena for the transaction to take place. However, Traditionally, in many other products out there on the market, that individual or that institution just gets a share of the revenue and they split it with who owns the product in the first place. They don't get to keep the whole pile of cash, but in this institution, in this industry, this is what's going on, and it's caused problems with traditional game development thereafter. Because game makers out there are just getting shafted by used gaming sales, and people out there who want to buy new games are being pressured into buying old games and therefore getting no income as a video game publisher, they've got to do new things to make money, right? Hence, paywall content, microtransactions, season passes, exclusive game content, all of this stuff, which nobody likes in this industry because people lose in the end, because people get cut out of content. They have to make money. So, can you really blame them for this new development? Maybe, maybe not. Used gaming is fine. Selling used games as GameStop is no problem, except for the fact that they're not giving the publisher any of that cut. Them not giving them a cut has just opened up this cesspit for game makers out there to basically do anything they can do to survive and to profit because they're getting so much revenue taken away from them by GameStop. Yes, downloading games is very popular. Yes, ordering games off Amazon is very popular, but the common gamer still walks into GameStop. The person who still wants that boxed copy walks into GameStop, and what do? They walk in, they see a new video game that they like, they put it on a counter, and then they get peer pressured and hassled into buying a used copy of that game for cheaper. Because GameStop wants to take all the money for that sale. Think about it, if a new video game is sold at GameStop, they're gonna get a fraction of the sales, maybe, I don't know, $15 of the $60. But if a used game is sold at $30, they get $30, they get double the revenue, and they didn't even have to sell a new video game. It's just ABC business. They get twice the revenue with half the work, meanwhile the publisher just has to sit there and basically get no money, and it's just a crappy system altogether. It's crappy because often that consumer wanted to buy the new version, but they got pressured into buying an old version. The used gaming market has allowed GameStop to survive, yet not thrive. GameStop is dying right now, and they are in fear of having to dissolve their organization. As of right now, there are buyout talks with GameStop, meaning the company might go bye-bye very soon. If not go bye-bye, then at least have someone come in and transform the company and just make something new out of GameStop. Is the used gaming market going to be affected by this? Probably. You know, is it good for the gaming industry? Yes, for game publishers. Is it good and bad for gamers? Yeah, because some people do rely on those used games because they don't have the money to buy new games. So I would just hope that someone would step in and transform the used gaming platform that they use to at least give some money back to publishers so that everybody wins. They may have to sell off their assets, they may be bought out completely, someone else may come in and just kind of make a new direction for the company. It's unclear at this point, but what is clear is that GameStop, the era of GameStop, is coming to an end. For me, that's good news because every single time I would walk into a GameStop, I would get pressured into buying used games, and I would be pressured into signing up for those pre-orders, which we all know is not good for this industry whatsoever. They push those things on you as soon as you walk in the door, and I don't like that forced interaction because they're just trying to scum away more money as an institution. And that's money, by the way, taken directly from the pockets of your favorite video game makers. Would you like to buy a used copy of that game instead for cheaper? Would you like insurance for $10? Is there anything upcoming that you'd like to pre-order in our store right now to get some plastic and paper bullshit pre-order bonuses? Would you like to sign up for that Power Up Rewards program I mentioned earlier? It's only $15 a year for a ton of great bonuses. It's just a bunch of nonsense. I mean, that's exactly my conversation every time I walk into a GameStop and I want to buy a video game. So it's clear that they want to take all the revenue for themselves at the cost of the game makers out there who are actually putting in the work to make those games. But worse, they also bought out and drove out so many local video game retailers in the United States just to make themselves bigger. And then once they finally did that and they set up shop, they just injected their stores with not just games, but just like stupid stuff like nerdy t-shirts, coffee mugs, piggy banks, trading cards, like shot glasses, scarves, socks, cables, you know, soda. Is this a gaming store or a convenience store? It became less about the consumer walking through the door and discovering a new video game that they wanted to buy, and more about them trying to upsell you on all this ridiculous stuff and merchandise and see how much they can actually get out of your pocketbook. It would just be a soul-crushing experience. You know, you would just walk in every single time you'd walk into a GameStop and you would just know you were just gonna be a pony. to just have them try to upsell you on content and just throw a whole bunch of insurance and warranties and magazine subscriptions and shot glasses and fucking... It just became less about the video game and more about just the circus parade of trying to make as much money as humanly possible off you. But the worst part about it, you could tell right away, was the employees, because you know, deep down they hated their jobs. Every single GameStop employee I have ever seen is just a depressed mummy zombie sitting behind the counter because they know they got to run through that script every single time someone walks through the door. And it's just a miserable experience to be a part of that environment. You don't want them to do it, they don't want to do it, but their boss does and they're going to do it. It's just that nastiness, slime that you feel when you walk into a GameStop. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and thumbs it up. And if you did not, you can thumbs the video down as well. Just tell me why down below in the comment section. So have a great day, guys. We'll see you in our next video. Peace, love, and happiness. Until then, have a great day.